Hi, welcome to MediatorPodcast.com, a podcast and video series about mediation, negotiation, and collaboration. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I provide online valuation, divorce, and mediation services in St. Louis, Missouri. In this week's episode, we are going to discuss, do you have what it takes to be a mediator? With Kimberly Best. She's a registered nurse, mediator, and conflict coach based in Franklin, Tennessee. She's also authored the book of How to Live Forever, a guide to writing the final chapter of your life story. Also, as our guest is Elliot Herland, a mediator focused on workers' compensation cases based in Minneapolis. He's also the vice chair of the ABA section of dispute resolution in the membership committee. Welcome, Kim and Elliot. Let's say I've identified that I have the right personality. I think I know something about a certain topic or area, right? Now, what are the rules? What is the training or continuing education that's required or recommended? And then, do I have to abide by mediation rules, right? These are things that people don't always know everything about. You want to take this? You want to start off, Elliot?
Sure. Every state has a different set of rules so that you can qualify as a certified mediator. So I encourage people to look that up. You can actually Google it. And then you find out what preparation you need. It's usually somewhere between a 30 to 40 hour training program that is required. And then there's also continuing education. But I think when I talk about learning the craft, you have to do more than just the training. You have to know what area of law or areas of law do you want to focus, because it's important to focus in on a particular area or related areas, and then associate yourself with the people in that area. Get people, mentoring, be involved with the organizations like the American Bar Association, Dispute Resolution Section, plug for that. There's other organizations available, but you want to be around potential clients. For me, I would go to the Work Comp Institute or the Work Comp Desk Book so that I can be with the people that I'm looking to work with. And then you have to practice, especially early on in your career as a mediator. You're not going to have clients right away. So you may need to do some pro bono work. You may need to co-mediate or have a mentor that you follow that gives you an example. You want to create a name for yourself.
Well, and I think that another kind of area or another thing that people should consider is that mediation, in my opinion, is a lifelong journey, process, learning, and that anytime that you're around other mediators, you can learn something, a little different perspective, a way to deal with something. I think it's a lot of negotiation techniques too, but also, we're doing a lot of online mediation. I think you could reach out to other mediators and say, could I just be in the back? Could I take notes for you? Right? Could I just be there? And maybe it's said, that somebody else is there. Obviously, it's not right for every but an observer or a note taker, especially if it's in your own firm. If it's in your own firm, I've said, okay, Marina's going to be here and she's going to be taking notes, and we're not charging you for that. It's going to help me be more effective, right? And then I can pay more attention. And at the end, I can look at the notes and be like, okay, maybe I missed some. Oh, I didn't notice that, whereas somebody else did, So I think there's ways that you can get next to really smart mediators and offer to help them. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not on the conversations, you could help them with intake. You could help them with something, right?
I think, Melissa, the thing around that is mediators. When I graduated with my conflict management degree, I could not find a mediator willing to mentor me or let me sit in a mediation. And I think that's been a big problem. So both of you mentioned mentoring. I think the best mediators I know are willing to share everything they have, whether it's their presentation notes, I mean, everything they have. And I think to have that heart of, I know it's different than perhaps a lawyer has been raised as far as, I don't know, generosity of work. I think it's a more compartmentalized sort of practice, but in mediation, we have to help each other grow instead of competing with each other. And I do want to give a shout out to an opportunity that's been incredible as far as connecting with the best in the world. And that is Natalie Armstrong started a Will Work for Food program, which can be seen through LinkedIn. But every single week, they're bringing the best mediators from around the world. And I believe Elliot was one that spoke in that. I don't know, the best mediators around the world, and it's free. An hour spent with these people, and they do want to get to know new people. We're all in this together, right? And when we professionalize our profession, when we raise it to a higher standard, it does all of us good. Mm-hmm. So Will Work for Food is completely free, except they recommend making a donation to a food bank instead of paying for that. Whatever the topic is. It was a beautiful topic with Dean Song Richardson from California this week on diversity. And they've raised $80,000 so far for food banks just through this program. So yeah, LinkedIn is a great source for finding other mediators and actually connecting with them. For me, it's been the best because I can email connections to people, request, and I wouldn't hear back. But on LinkedIn, you can send a message and most people respond. But it is about building the relationships, as both you and Elliot said.
Since we're name dropping, Susan Guthrie is also someone who does a great job of training all sorts of things. And one of the things is how to use the online platform, which is very important. That's another skill set since, many people have been doing virtual mediations for years. I didn't start doing virtual mediation until the pandemic hit. And then this in-person mediator had to learn how to use that platform. And Susan does a great job with that.
And she just put out a great video, I think really like this past week or something, even about hybrid mediations, yes, right? Because, and this kind of piggybacks on what Kim was saying, there's been a lot of people out there doing mediation, but then the pandemic hit and it was like, oh my gosh, nobody could have predicted that the courts would close. And how could we predict that almost a year later, we have courts that are still closed for all intents and purposes?